Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and all my loyal, loving friends out there. Well, it's a great day in the Supreme Court today. We got rid of that soft bigotry of showing preferential treatment. That's like telling a black person, you can't do it without our help. And a lot of black successful people sat there and hated that other people might have thought that they only got where they got because of, the soft bigotry of having a quota. So, it was a good day for us, for America. Supreme Court sat there and affirmed a lot of your rights, okay, the freedom of speech. They also sat there and passed something or judged on something that kind of told bureaucratic despotism that they can't sit there and delegate something major to the executive branch. Okay? They have to delve more into detail. And speaking of the congressional thing and the investigations going on in Hunter Biden, now there's more investigations into that settlement that Hunter Biden went into. The day before it was announced, okay, they had 11 whistleblowers sitting there talking about this bribe he took, and it was from Ukraine. They funneled it through a Chinese bank, and the Chinese bank gave it to the Bidens as a forgivable loan. Excuse me, forgivable loan. What does that sound like to you? Do you ever get a forgivable loan? I've never had a forgivable loan in my life. Oh, except for my parents. Thank you, folks. You were always there for me. We got at least 11 whistleblowers out now from the IRS and from Justice Department. They sat there and denied the prosecutor out there in Delaware special counsel so that he could go anywhere and follow any lead. And every lead he sat there and went to that might show promise, they told him he couldn't go there. So we got all these whistleblowers going up. Now, what do I mean by bureaucratic despotism? That's fascism, basically. That's where your administrative state marries private corporations. They're intertwined. In other words, if the administrative state cannot do something according to the Constitution, they try and farm it out to someone who cannot be subpoenaed on the Freedom of Information Act. Okay? You got a contractor. That contractor can't be sued for the freedom of information. That's what they're doing. So they're hiding stuff from you. It's a huge cover-up of everything. Anything they're doing, they're trying to cover up. Just like that Facebook and Twitter thing where they had FBI agents over there telling them what they could not put up and what they could put up. Anyway. Now, he actually sat next to his dad in China and was turning to the Chinese guy he was talking to, the deputy director. No, he dealt mostly with the head of the Chinese Communist intelligence agency. Okay? So, I kind of wonder when Joe made that joke about selling secrets, whether or not he really did or not. You know, if it was Trump saying that, by God, they would have had him out there in a lynch mob immediately. Or even one of his kids. Okay. Oh, jeez. It just gets sick and sick. This is the most corrupt, inept... someone do me a favor and email me what the word is for an inept government. There was a word for it out there, and I forgot what it was. I know that when the Russian mafia was basically ruling Russia after the fall of communism under Putin, that's called a kleptocracy. In other words, kleptocracy. Okay? And we have a bureaucratic despotism. In other words, we have unelected individuals ruling us. What Congress has done is delegate so much. They don't get into details. They sit to hand it over to the executive department and sit there and say, you hammer out the details and the rules and regulations. No. That's Congress's job. Congress's job, folks. And meanwhile, the China situation keeps getting worse. And meanwhile, our shells are being emptied, giving all this stuff to Ukraine. You know, they can't even start training those F-16 pilots in Ukraine until December. And when they asked us for 2 platoons of Abrams tanks, we didn't have them. We have no more industrial complex, folks. The industrial complex, the military-industrial complex that we had during World War I, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam does not exist. So many of the parts and the chips and stuff are made in communist China. Don't you remember during the pandemic we had to get respirators from communist China and that they cornered the market on masks? And that we found out that a lot of our meds came from China? We have to start doing things on our own, folks. Let's go ahead and buy Greenland. Sit there and mine for those rare strategic minerals that we do not mine in ourselves because we got rules and regulations that prevent us from mining it on our own property. We need to sit there and let people go out, be entrepreneurs, and find this stuff and dig it up, process it, so that we can be a mighty nation again. We have descended into third world despotism. We have a police state. Surely granted, a police state. Meanwhile, Congress is sitting there confused. They don't know who to impeach first. They got so many targets. You got Merrick Garland. He's really not the one. He's the front man for the assistant, Monaco. All right? Who's an extreme leftist and who's sitting there, an anti-Trumper, who's sitting there doing all this stuff in the background. And meanwhile, Merrick Garland can sit there and say, I didn't do it. I didn't approve that. Of course you didn't. Your deputy did. It's just the same thing as when Joe says he's proud of Hunter. Of course he's proud of Hunter. Hunter went out and hustled up millions of bucks for him. I'd be proud too. Well, not really, if he was doing something illegal. But Joe didn't care. You know, Joe's been accused of lying his whole career. And he gets up there in that MSNBC thing, and he just babbles and stuff. The moderator was sitting there trying her best to sit there and save his butt. And it was pretty difficult. He didn't even have the common sense to stay seated until she went to break. Now just get up and start wandering around the stage like he normally does. You don't think other world leaders are seeing this? This is not a time when we should be weak. This is not the end of the American century. This is the beginning of a new American century. This is our century, folks. We will dominate. We will colonize Mars. We will colonize the moon and beyond. China's already sat there and put claim to parts of the moon. How can you do that? You haven't even gotten there yet, except for your robots. Anyway, it's all getting too ridiculous, folks. I'm going to be busy a little bit. My high school is moving. We bought a big church to sit there and have more room. And our old place is going to be a dormitory for the college we're building. And I got to move stuff. Just lovely. I prepared some videos. I'm going to be teaching philosophy next semester. Reason being, students need to learn how they fit into this jigsaw puzzle of reality of the world. And that's philosophy. And that is a science. Bacon sat there and said it was a science. Thomas Aquinas said it was a science. These were Descartes. Anyway, it teaches them to use the cerebral cortex. We're the only human beings on this planet. We're the only beings on this planet with the cerebral cortex for reason. Okay? We need to use it. Please use it out there. Please. And you can only do that by independent thinking, independent research. Don't take everything I say for gospel truth, for God's sake. Don't believe anybody. Sit there and research it. You sit there and come up, prove me wrong on something, I will sit there and say, great, I'll do a hallelujah moment. Because I at least got someone to sit there and do their own research and independent thinking, rational thinking. With that note, let's all say a few prayers. They got to keep piling up day after day with all this junk piling up on us. Say a few prayers and remain, I remain, your humble servant. God bless you all.